Hi everybody, this is Matt. I'm going to talk about Federated States of Micronesia. Here we are back at home, and we're going to go on a little trip. Give you an idea of where this place is. We're going to go from our home to the capital city of Micronesia, or Federated States of Micronesia. It's called Pompeii. Now, this is just a very, very small part of the grouping of islands that makes up FSM. Matter of fact, it's a tiny speck of what makes up Micronesia. You'll see over here, this is the island of Yap, and from there to that's the easternmost point of the island chains that's considered FSM. And then way over here is 1,700 miles away. That is Koshai. Here's Pompeii again, and here's the island system of Chuk. All these islands that make up FSM are the result of millions of years of volcanic activity in the Pacific Ocean. And while the country's total land mass area amounts to only about 270 square miles, it occupies more than 1 million square miles of the Pacific Ocean. Here's Yap State, again on the far eastern end of the spectrum. It is made up of 4 large islands, 7 small islands, and 134 atolls, and with a total land mass area of 45.6 square miles. It's not very big. Here's Chuk State. It has a total land mass area of 49.2 square miles and includes 7 major island groups. And back to Pohnpei State, which is the political capital of the Federated States of Micronesia. It has 133.4 square miles of land area, and of which 130 square miles is accounted for by Pohnpei Island itself, and it's the largest island in FSM. And here's the last big island of Koshai. It's 42.3 square miles in area, and it's only one island. There's no other islands that belong to this state. So the total population of FSM is about 108,000. Of that, 48.8% of them are Chukis, and 24.2% Pohnpeian, and 6.2% Koshayan, 5.2% Yapese, and then other islanders mix in there, 4.5%. 1.8% Asian, and other is 9%. Is kind of the breakdown of who's residing on these islands currently. English is the official language of the government and of commerce. However, there's 8 major indigenous languages spoken out of the 4 main are Yapese, Chukis, Pohnpeians, Koshayans, and the other ones I couldn't pronounce very easily, so I won't bother to. You can look it up. Over much of the past 40 years, the growth rate of population in the FSM has exceeded 3% per annum, and the current rate of national increase remains high. However, since the Compact of Free Association was signed, out-migration of about 2% of the population occurs each year, effectively lowering the growth rate to about 1%. Now, the Compact of Free Association means that in effect, Micronesia is a colony of the United States. However, it's in free association where we give them aid every year in exchange for being able to set up our military bases and prevent other people from doing the same thing. So we control the whole area with our military, and they get about 81.7 million every year, and another 15 million in federal grants that helps their economy. Health has always been an issue for the people of the FSM since the first traders and missionaries came to the islands in the 16th century. We are uncertain about the longevity of and health of these people before the Europeans came, but we know for sure that their numbers diminished rapidly once they arrived. Diseases such as influenza, measles, and smallpox were wiping out thousands, and sexually transmitted diseases were introduced, which also caused infertility, lowering population as well. In the 19th century, the estimated loss of life was about 30 to 40% of the population. It wasn't until the early 1900s that some recovery was seen, in part due to Western medicine and the colonial Germans trying to actively prevent the spread of disease from their own people onto the Micronesians. One method was to keep infected crew members on board the ships while in port, and also to attempt to curtail sexual relations between the sailors and the local women. After the Germans handed off the Micronesia to the Japanese, and the Japanese lost the war, and then the United States ended up with sole responsibility and, in effect, ownership of Micronesia. Um, they started adopting many of the American ways of eating as well, and in result of that, a lot of new health problems confronted these islanders, like diabetes and heart disease that was so common in America. With taking on this new diet from Western influence, before these were rare diseases, they're now common as much as they are here. The next slide shows a little bit of statistics on that. These are actual cases within the main islands of Micronesia, where there's 1956 there was only 8 known cases of diabetes and 192 cases of heart disease, and in just that short time it's jumped into 1976 it's 522 and 1,494 people dying of heart disease. Or actually, these were just people that were being treated for these ailments. And here's the breakdown per island of people dying of what. In this century, FSM faces many health problems due to poor immunization in all the islands. We have measles outbreaks, quite common even today. Hepatitis and tuberculosis are very common. However, they had Chuuk State has multi-drug resistant tuberculosis. In 2008, it was a big scare. They managed to get it somewhat under control, they say, but this is MDR-TB is still a growing health concern, because it's when happens when patients being treated for tuberculosis are not followed up on. Their therapy may be incomplete, and therefore it breeds new strains of drug-resistant strains that are really difficult to treat and expensive, going from $20 from the normal, the regular type of tuberculosis treatment is only $20, and the multi-drug resistant tuberculosis costs about $20,000 to treat. So it'll be just a nightmare if we can't get that under control. Other factors that affect the health of Micronesians, with all the military testing of nuclear weapons after World War II in the islands areas, especially in the Marshall Islands, just about everybody in Micronesia has been directly or indirectly exposed to large amounts of radiation, which has caused many, many health problems ever since those times of testing were ended in 1958. Places like Bikini Atoll and Marshall Islands are so polluted with cesium radiation that is still unlivable some 60 years later. Yeah, however, it makes a great dive destination for avid scuba divers who would like to absorb some radiation. Yeah, you won't pick up much if you're only there for a day or two, huh? Yeah, here's a closer view of Bikini Island. There's actually some roads still um, look functional. Probably just sandy roads, not paved or anything. And that's about it for my presentation. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you again someday on YouTube.